Welcome to our pod, and by that I mean on Wednesdays we read. I'm Hannah.
I'm Laura.
We are two best friends who are doing a deep dive into a new book series, one book at a time. Right now we are shiting on the wheel of time, and today we are covering the second half of The Lord of Chaos by Robert Jordan. But before we get into that, Laura, what are you reading, watching, and or enjoying?
So I watched Iron Man the other night. And
I actually know how this is going to go.
Let me just say, Captain Marvel, way better. Way better. Maybe it's just the result of this being an older movie, but it was so predictable and I just did not enjoy it. And a lot of the quote unquote jokes, I was like, okay, that's not very funny. But maybe I'm just like so woke that I just don't think it's funny. And I just thought it was such a predictable movie. Like literally 2 minutes in, I was like, Jeff Bridges is the bad guy. And my husband was like,
spoilers for Iron Man, everyone.
It's like 20 years old. It's not a spoiler. But my husband was like, you don't know that. You don't know that. You don't know that. I'm like, okay, you're being very defensive. So clearly he's the bad guy. Also, he's bald. They're not going to put a bald guy who was second in command at the company in the story without him being the villain. And
that logic tracks.
Yeah. It's just, all of it was so predictable. And I was just like, okay, I don't really enjoy this. But I watched all of it, because I'm determined to watch all of these movies, and I'm watching them in the order that they would come in. They'd be in like
also,
the timeline.
Laura, be a little bit more honest. You fell asleep during the last 15 minutes.
I
did.
You
had to rewatch.
And then I had to watch the end. Guys, these are not my type of movies, but I have made it a goal to watch them.
Okay, so Laura,
I got very disappointed when I looked on Disney Plus and it said the next movie in the sequence that I need to watch, Iron Man 2. No.
Okay. So that is true. So you have watched the Captain America though, one, the first soldier?
Yeah, that was fine.
Okay, that was fine. So I think the problem is you're right. This is the oldest one ever.
Yeah.
Like, this was Marvel's big chance. It was when Marvel wasn't a thing, and the only rights they could get were Iron Man.
You know what? I'm just going to say bold on them if that was their...
But like, okay, so here's the thing. You're watching this from the context of, this is a huge franchise, right? And this movie, you're right, it does not hold up with the age thing. Like, watching him and Pepper get together is one of the grossest things I've ever watched. Because it's like, no, this is just you sexually harassing your assistant.
Also, they have no chemistry, the two of them.
Maybe does Gwyneth Paltrow have chemistry with anyone?
I don't know. I can't think of anyone.
I've never seen Gwyneth Paltrow like have a romantic interest from like, I believe you two actually enjoy kissing each other.
I don't know, but definitely not Robert Downey Jr.
No, they don't have chemistry. Their relationship is a little bit trash in the beginning. Like, as it goes on, you just accept them more because like it becomes more of an actual relationship and not just him sexually harassing his assistant who does everything for him.
It feels icky.
Yeah, it does not feel great. So I do agree with you on that. It is hard to rewatch Iron Man in the modern day era, but I do want you to suspend your disbelief. Remember, it's like 20 years old, like you said. And Marvel isn't a thing. And this movie came out. It was interesting for its time.
I can see how bros would love it.
Okay, well, I did try to defend it. I do agree with you. Iron Man 1 is not my favorite.
I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. I did not like it.
I think that is a very fair take. No one come at Laura, like people who enjoy Marvel. Listen, Iron Man is
I really
hard
like Captain
watch.
Marvel. I really like Captain Marvel. And I have seen Black Panther. We've mentioned this, and I really liked that one. So I'm not just knocking Marvel movies. I just didn't enjoy Iron Man.
Is also something to be said about like some of the male characters. They have a journey that I don't think a lot of people would enjoy, because it's like they have to learn that they're too cocky. And it's just like, okay, but then just don't be too cocky.
Right.
Because like a huge thing on Iron Man is he creates in the beginning through his cockiness, through his like family industry, he creates a lot of his own problems.
Yeah.
So like he had this huge company that he let a bad guy infiltrate, because he was lazy. And then he built this, huge uniform that he wasn't like particularly careful with, and
Mhm.
through it, bad things happen, you know?
Sure.
So he has to learn responsibility, and he's an adult man.
Right.
Like, I think sometimes when you're a
He's like,
woman,
I
you're just
can't
like,
buy my way out of this. Oh.
yes. Women are just like, okay, just stop being a child. Like, it's not that
Except the women
hard.
that are like, hey, Tony Stark, remember me? I'm a journalist that wants to take you down. Whoops, fell into your bed. Oh
Well, that is the plot of Iron Man 1, guys. So you don't need
Pretty
to watch it
much.
anymore.
no. Pretty much.
Well, that's good. What have you been reading anything besides Lord of Chaos right now?
Reading Lord of Chaos. I also listened to an audiobook, The Last Black Unicorn by Tiffany Haddish. And
Yes.
that book was okay. I think if you were going to read it, I would listen to the audiobook because you enjoy her delivery probably more than you would enjoy reading it, because I would guess that a lot of the sentences are choppy just listening to it. But she has had a really rough life. I mean, some of the things that she talks about, I'm like, how can all of these things happen to one person? How is this possible? But she's really successful now, and it's been just a lot of hard work and a lot of standing up for herself. So I give her a lot of credit for that. But overall, I don't think I really liked the book because there were some things that seemed a little bit ableist, and I just didn't enjoy that aspect of it.
It's a very good critical eye to say, like, you recognized the amazing things she's overcome, and that sometimes people who have overcome a lot also need to grow as a person, you know?
Also, she's very funny. There's parts in it where I laughed a lot because it's her delivery too, but she would describe an incident in her life, and I'm like, okay, how did this happen? but yeah, overall, I think that it's just, you admire what she's been through, but still need to be aware that some of the things that she said are a little bit problematic.
Right. I think that that's a very good thing. I mean, we talked about something similar with Tina Fey when I read her memoir, and I was like, this was very of its time. I didn't like a ton of stuff that was in it, and I hope she's grown as a person after this, you know?
Right.
Not that she didn't have a lot to overcome as a woman in the industry, but she's also a white woman, and she has some very white women feminist ideas. So I think everyone just has their own blind spots, and we should always be aware of them.
Right. What have you been watching or reading?
So Laura knows this, I watched Raya and the Last Dragon.
Hannah, let me just say, you were sending me live updates as you were watching this, little videos. Let me just say, I loved it because drama. You were so dramatic in those videos.
I'm never that dramatic, but guys, this is a children's movie. And like,
Hannah was fired up.
It's just so much trauma in a child's movie. Like,
Disney loves to do that.
I know, but okay. So like, yeah, Disney has a way of doing like dead parent tropes
or spouse. Look at Up. Like, within the first 2 minutes of Up, they're like, boom, dead.
Yes. And usually it's dealing with death, but they don't deal with like hey, something awful happened and it's technically all your fault. And you have to discover how to undo all of it. And then there's like dragon trauma and like disbelieving in yourself and just like so much family loss. And as someone who recently lost their mom, I think I was dramatic because I was just not prepared for that level of emotion. And I was sending Laura live updates, and it was traumatic, guys. Like, there's just a lot. There's a lot in that movie. Like, we were talking about like the one thing that I know about Big Hero 6 is my nephew loves it, and he watches it every time he's at my parents' house, and I just read a book in another room. But I know Big Hero 6 is traumatic. I'm just like, all of these children's movies, why do
Big
kids
Hero
love
6
them
is
so
really
much?
good too.
I haven't watched it all the way through, but I got the gist of it because I've watched different things. But my niece, the last time I was like almost about to get into it, she came in the room and she said, Aunt Hannah, come play with me. And then took me into the kitchen and then just wanted me to sit next to her as she played. She just wanted an audience.
That's important though. That's important.
If you met my niece, that would definitely track. She's a spitfire.
It's always important to have support.
She at daycare, my sister got called because there's a little boy that she was like beating up on. And my sister was like, why is she beating up on this little boy? And they're like, oh, well, he kind of antagonizes the little girls. And so my sister was like, so she was sticking up for herself. And they were like, yeah. And she goes, I'm not going to yell at her for that.
Right.
So good for little
her.
girls everywhere.
We run the
But
world,
yes,
girls.
I watched Raya. I haven't been watching a lot of TV lately.
You've been reading a lot.
I've been reading a lot. So last week I finished the like 3 books that I've been talking about recently, which is like The Ninth Metal, Gathering of Darkness, which was good, but not great. I thought the plot was a little not there for me. I liked the relationships, didn't care for the plot. And then I also read another book that I've completely forgotten. But then I read One to Watch.
Okay.
So I had a lot of mixed emotions about this book. It is.
I've not heard of this one.
Okay. So it's a plus size woman who like goes on The Bachelorette pretty much. They call it something different, but she goes on The Bachelorette after like the whole start of it is she was like always fat. She felt very upset about this. And then when she went to college, she like decided to get into fashion and she becomes this like amazing fashion designer.
Okay.
And then she like does this huge fashion blog, or not a fashion designer. She's a fashion blogger. And she has this blog where like they're obsessed with The Bachelorette. And so they're watching it one night and she starts like live tweeting it while she's drunk.
Okay.
And after she suffered like a horrible heartbreak of like a man she was in love with and disappeared on her and all this stuff. And it was a very funny joke where it was like, there's no one below a size 4 because The Bachelor couldn't possibly put his mediocre penis in a woman without her crushing him or something like that. It was very funny. And I laughed a lot at that line. And then I was like, oh, great. So this is going to be a very empowering story of like a fat woman who's seeking love in a very normalized way. And I thought it was a romance. And I think herein lies the problem. It was marketed as a romance. If you look at the cover, it's like pastel-y, hot pink, one to watch, you know. And so it gives this feeling of romance. And I actually think that this is a huge issue with a lot of fiction that's directed towards women. Sometimes it's marketed differently than it should be, because this was not a fun romance. This was a fictional novel of a woman dealing with her own insecurities through a very public eye of watching what reality TV would look like if you were a plus size woman doing it. Oh. So there was a lot of hatred. There was a lot of like awful people in it. There was a lot of like just really uncomfortable things that like I didn't I wish I'd been more forewarned that this was not a romance novel. And I talked to another friend who read it and she was like, you just hit the nose on the head on what bothered me about it. Like I wanted an escapist romance. And there is a love story in it, but it's not a great one. It's like, it's also dealing with someone who's very controlling and like very jealous, who's like on The Bachelorette or whatever it is. And it just kind of felt not there for me. And again, I do think like it's one of those things where like they market Bridget Jones' Diary as this like, oh, it's so funny. It's about a fat woman who falls in love and it's Pride and Prejudice, you know.
She's not really even fat.
She's not fat. And Bridget Jones is actually a satirical novel that gets marketed as less than because it's for women. And like, that's kind of, I wish this book had given me more warning that it wasn't just a fun flippant romance. And I don't think it's the book's fault. I think it's marketing's fault. And I don't think people understand how to market towards women sometimes.
I think that's all valid.
Yeah. So I've heard that an actual fun escapist romance with a plus size person, and this is coming from someone who is plus size. So like I wanted that and I just didn't get it. I have heard that, spoiler alert, it's great fun escapist romance with a fat character who falls in love with the famous man from a TV show that she writes fan fiction for. And it's very cute. And which book is that? I think it's called Spoiler Alert.
Spoiler Alert. Okay.
And I've heard it is adorable and it is going to be a series. So people should look to that if they want this, and read One to Watch if you want to read about a more serious, more serious take on this kind of stuff.
Sure.
I also read The Removed by Brandon Hobson. It is about Native Indians, Cherokee Nation. The beginning of the book, there is a son who dies by cop. And then it takes place 15 years after, and it kind of takes place about 5 days before the anniversary of his death. And you get to see the family and how they've reacted all this time. The dad is getting Alzheimer's. The sister is like obsessed with this guy, like this younger guy, and the brother has an addiction problem. And it's a very beautiful novel. It's a very spiritual novel for like the Cherokee Nation. Like the brother goes on a spiritual journey in this like dark world where he's trying to get out. And it's kind of also like touches on kind of American like colonialism with like the white man taking up space in the Native Indian spaces and how they can like warp it and make it darker. And it was just so interesting. And it's only 270 pages and it's very beautiful. I liked it a lot. And I thought it was very well done. And I highly recommend that as well.
Okay.
So those are all the books I read. It was very good. And again, 270 pages, guys. It's no Lord of Chaos.
It's got to really step it up if it's going to be Lord of Chaos.
Yeah. You need to add like a couple more torture scenes. Spoiler alert. Speaking of spoiler alerts. So should we dive in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Before we start though, Hannah, be honest with me because we both finished the book now. Did you like this one?
I don't think so.
Me either. There were points when, because I listened and read this, so I finished it reading with my eyes, and it was a nice day outside, so I was reading outside, and it was so difficult to get through some of these parts of this book, and I just can't with some of the parts of it.
There was just a lot to this book that I wish were better. It's a sad day when the best plot lines are Nynaeve and Elaine for Hannah. So
Nynaeve, actually, this was a good book for Nynaeve.
I mean, yes and no. I also think like she was still done dirty with like how much her character changed.
Oh, for sure, but she's very interesting.
That. Yeah, she's a very interesting character, and like their antics were probably the best part of this novel. Yeah. They were the only ones that weren't sitting on any laps. I was a fan of that.
Our favorite characters sucked.
So much. Okay, well, we will get into this one, guys. Buckle up. Let's go.
Chapter 28.
Chapter 28. We call that Rand, who's just being a monster of a person because he figured out Luz Theron is real and living in his head, and he's just mad at everything and everyone and screaming.
I still don't totally understand if if he is like Luz Theron incarnate. Luz Theron is like reincarnated in him, or I can't say that word, reincarnation. If Luz Theron is in him, or if this is, I don't understand it exactly myself.
I mean, I think it's just that he's like reincarnated in him and his spirit is in him, so he's just attached to him.
But they're two separate souls also.
Yes, so they're fighting for control of the body because it's Highlander. Only one can survive. There can only be one.
Don't get that reference, but okay.
God, you did not have the same geeky friends in college who were like, you have to watch Highlander. Well, Highlander was a fantasy TV series where Sean Connery played a man called the Spaniard. Figure that one out.
Okay.
And Highlander was someone who was, he couldn't die, but other people could become a Highlander, but there can only be one. So when there are two immortal people, they have to fight to the death.
Okay.
These are movies that exist, guys.
I
think it was the 80s. It was a weird time.
That's fine.
Considering your Iron Man take, skip it. You're fine.
Yeah, I think that would be one that I would sleep through the last 15 minutes, but
well, and then Rand also is having bad dreams where he realizes like, I'm running away because I'm running away from Elaine and Avienda. And he's like, I will run no more.
I'm tired of being afraid of them.
I'm not going to be afraid of them anymore.
I'm pretty sure there was a specific point where Rand said, I won't be afraid of them anymore. And I was like, that's a weird thing, but okay.
You're a man. Grow up. He's about to return to Camelin when he gets a letter from the sea folk. He emerges back in Camelin and he feels Alana nearby because they have to tell you about it every single time.
Which I hate. I hate that he has to mention that, how it's just
I mean, we talked about it last episode. We're not fans. And he notes that she is crying and he's like, I wonder why. And it's like, it's because her warder is dead. We all know. He wonders if Tom Ireland knows anything about the warder bond. He goes to talk to the maidens in his chamber, and Avienda is angry at him because he keeps leaving her behind, and it's her job to watch over him, and it is like besmirching her good name by him ignoring her toe and everything she needs to be like happening with the wise ones and everything.
Darn Giotto.
Yep. Lou Theron returns and addresses Rand directly for the first time. Rand tells him that he is in his head, and Lou Theron flees screaming. Theron flees screaming so often, and every time I just like picture a man like running with his arms like high in the air, like
like Kermit the Frog in the Muppets. The little wiggly arms.
I don't know why I picture it that way, but every time I'm like
he's got that Kermit energy.
It's just like he flees screaming, and I'm like, that's the most dramatic line I've ever.
I'll be really curious to see how they play this in the TV show.
I know. I hope it's the Kermit the Frog way.
I mean, if they get all of the Jim Henson crew involved, it'd be a much better book.
Make these with Muppets, guys.
That would be amazing.
My dad loves the Muppets.
I love the Muppets.
He taped the new show before it was canceled. He was really upset.
Oh, really?
About it. Yeah. So then like Avienda's like, you have toe towards me because you left and it dishonors my duties. And it's just like, you're not allowed to tell people when they have toe, girl. Toe is something
also I feel like in this book, once it's mentioned, it's brought up so
many times.
And it's like, is everything you do that offends someone even slightly toe? Like, I don't understand.
Laura, you didn't text me back for like an hour the other day. You have toe towards me. It's just
you can't tell me.
That's every time I speak over you, you're like, you have toe towards me.
Like Giotto, yeah. I think it's Matt who says something.
Bloody Ash.
Yeah, he says like blood and ash is Giotto. God, I feel that way too.
Over Rand's objections, the maidens of the spear promise to keep her informed of where he is. He reads another letter from the sea folk, and both letters address him as Coramor, which we learned in previous book is their savior, because Rand is the savior of everyone. They all have the same God. This is a religious allegory book.
It's Christ's narrative.
Yep. One of his maidens, Suling, comes in with a dress on, showing she's trying to meet her toe, which Rand realizes before a trip to Shadar Logus, she spoke to a Gashain as a maiden. And like people also died in Shadar Logoth, and she feels guilty, so she has toe. Everyone has toe, guys. Everyone has toe.
Everyone, literally.
He asks a question on Giotto, which embarrassed Avienda because it shows that she isn't teaching him well enough. He senses something foul in the room as the maidens leave, and he realizes it's a gray man. He wraps it up in air, and then Taim Mazrim walks in and kills it. Taim seems unconcerned about the gray man, and Rand's like, shouldn't we be worried about this? And Rand's like, I think Samael sent him. Rand and Taim talk a little bit about Samael's defenses, and Rand sends Taim back to the farm. The maidens were in there, but they leave. Avienda lectures him on Giotto, and then she leaves too. Some Gaishan came and take away the gray man, and they decide to kind of cover it up because they don't want people knowing it was a gray man. Oh, and Rand lies for the maidens and was like, we don't have to tell them that we're the ones who killed him. We'll just like say I was attacked and you guys took care of it. So don't worry. I'm not going to mess with your Giotto. I'm sorry. I'm just going to talk.
You're making it worse, Rand.
I don't know why I decided that Rand is a surfer man in this book, but I mean,
he's a California, bro.
He's a California, bro. I mean, he just gets so weird about women. So I think I'm just like making him like that guy in a bar who's just like, women just never get on my level. Don't you realize it? Like, I can't choose who I love. It's just not in me. I am free, and the spirit is me, guys.
You can tell that that's the type of guy that annoys us, because whenever we get annoyed with one of these male characters, we both drop into that type of voice. Take note, listeners. Take note.
Fair enough. Do a shot every time we do that. You'll be drunk. That's the OWWR Pod drinking
That'd be
game.
bad. That'd be bad.
You have to drink every time we do the male voice, or every time Hannah breaks out into song,
or every time Hannah blesses us with her Elaine impersonation.
That's partially British, but she doesn't know how she gets there. Pot on Fane is with his pet Fade, who he broke in the previous book, and they were with dark friends. His bond with Rand feels different, and as though someone else has joined in, aka Luz Theron. Oh,
I thought it was Alana.
Oh, is it Alana?
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. It's Alana.
Because Luz Theron would have already been there.
I forgot. You're right. It's Alana. There are White Cloaks in the White Tower who are set against Ram because of like him messing with Niall and Elida. The Dark Friends enter and they report Rand was attacked this morning. Fane realizes that it must be a gray man, which means it was one of the Forsaken, and he's furious because Rand is for him.
It's mine.
And so then he tortures this child because he feels bad. And then he's like thinking about Rand and Shadar Logoth and like everything. And then he decides to keep like torturing this kid because he doesn't know how to turn it off. And then he just takes his mother into the other room to have sex. And he's like, I wonder why she's struggling so much. And it's just like, because consent is not key.
Because you're disgusting.
Yes. We slide on over to Nynaeve and Elaine, who are stuck scrubbing pots for the 11th day. Nynaeve still senses a storm because that's her entire plot point right now.
Right.
And she walks by the little tower. She sees Uno and he's watching her, and she thinks Bridget told him that Nynaeve wants to leave and to like watch out for her. Theodrin is still working on her block, and last night she got her drunk. Well, she technically didn't get her drunk, but Nynaeve got herself drunk and then blamed Theodrin for it. And then Elaine also threatened to dunk her head in water like Nynaeve did to her, and like it's a whole like, how dare she? Tom and
just stop.
and then Laura's favorite dad comes back, Tom.
He's here to father somewhere.
And he and Sulin come in, and Elaine like runs to Tom and jumps into his arms.
It's so creepy.
And she acts like he is her daddy, which Nynaeve points out, and it's like, last book they were flirting.
I know. I'm with Nynaeve on this. It's creepy. Please stop.
I didn't tell you this, but Literature and Lo-Fi, one of our favorite Twitter people, sent us a meme of like the Squidward lying in bed while Patrick and Spongebob are playing outside, and it was like Elaine and Tom, and like Elaine pulling on Tom's beard, and then I showed Nynaeve as Squidward. And I was like, that's the kind of energy we need.
Exactly. What that is. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So, it was very funny.
Good on
like,
them.
You get us.
Good on them.
Thank you, Benjamin, for that wonderful thing. And so Tom and Julian just finished reporting to Shiriam. Niall is pulling back all the White Cloaks except for a force in Tarabon border. And they kind of just go over what's going on. Tom tells Elaine that there are rumors that Morghese is in the Fortress of Light. And Elaine's like, she is not. I have accepted her death. And it's like, okay, that's a hard
There's a lot of rumors going around, though. There's just maybe a White Cloak. So just think about it, you know.
She would never do that. Never.
I don't know. When your mom and I were together, she was pretty interested in that kind of stuff. So...
Tabitha comes out. One of the Aes Sedai comes out. She's like, Tom and Julian, you were not supposed to leave yet. Go back into the little tower. And then they leave, and Elaine's like, I'm sorry for laughing at you when you got drunk. As all sorority sisters do. And Nynaeve admits that it was her fault, and she actually feels good about being honest, because honesty makes you feel better, guys.
Right.
Elaine is not wearing the Adam, and Nynaeve freaks out, but then she's also
like,
kind of
where's the bracelet?
And she's like, it's in my bag. It's really hard to like have her feelings on me all the time. And Nynaeve recognizes that she's been hiding from it and kind of shirking her responsibilities. And also Merrigan said something derogatory towards Bridget, and Bridget beat her up. And like Nynaeve was like, I think Moghedine's lying about not knowing anything about healing. And it's like, or she's just really bad at healing. They've also made no progress in detecting a man's channeling. Now that Tom and Julian are back, Nynaeve really wants to leave, but Elaine refuses. With nothing else to do, Nynaeve goes to work on Logain some more, and Elaine follows. And I think at this point, it was either this point or another point where Elaine mentions that Uno, she actually told Brigitte to tell Uno that Nynaeve wasn't allowed to ask them to escape. And Nynaeve was like, how dare she? That's my business. I just wouldn't leave without Elaine, and Elaine disagrees with me. How dare she? So then Nynaeve is trying to heal Logain, and she's probing him while using the one power. And she's like really distracted by how frustrated she is with everything. And she's like, there's a hole that I feel that's similar to what I found with Suyan and Liani. And she's like, what if I put some fire and spirit in here? And then all of a sudden she patches the hole, and she feels Logain being healed. And in a panic, she tells Elaine to get Shiriam, and she has healed Logain.
Help now.
And she is shielding him, but he's so strong that he can nearly break in. She's like freaking out. Like the warders pop their head and they're like, what's going on? And then Neve's like, nothing. And then Elaine runs out to get help. Logain tries to convince her nothing is wrong, and he isn't healed. He mentions once seeing a man who could channel as he was in Camelin and knew the man would shake the world, aka Rand in book 1. 12 Aes Sedai come in and don't believe she healed him, but they take her to the little tower. And on the way, they're like, some women think they can do these amazing things, but then they just end up hurting themselves. Like there is a girl who thought she could fly and she really couldn't. So we think you're just stupid. And Nynaeve was like, I
hate all of that.
I know. And Nynaeve was like, how dare they? And in the little tower, she runs into 12 yellow Aja and everyone's freaking out. And so she's like, bring Leanne over here. And then she heals her and Leanne starts crying. Oh, it was Suyan. It was Suyan. It's Suyan. So she angrily heals Suyan, and Suyan's like, thank you. And everyone freaks out. And then she heals Leanne. And it feels different than healing Logain. And she wonders if it's different healing men and women. She expects praise, but she's critiqued because she used fire and other elements to use, like that. They're like, that's really dangerous. You shouldn't use those to heal, even though you just did one of the most amazing things in the world.
No one's ever done that before, but don't do it that way.
And then they're like, but maybe we could do it that way. And it's just a bunch of Aes Sedai being know-it-alls. Because that's all Aes Sedai
about things
do.
They don't know about.
Yeah. They all discuss whether or not to gentle Logain again, but then they're like, well, we did say that the Red Asha did that, so wouldn't we be hypocrites? And they're like, we really backed ourselves into a corner here. Nynaeve goes out to Elaine, who apologizes for letting the word spread because she was so shocked. Nynaeve wants to leave right away, and Elaine knows this is impossible. Nynaeve wonders why, and then a bunch of yellow Aja come out, and they're like, so we're going to like have a list of people who get to like prod you and ask you for information, and you don't get a choice in the matter. And Nynaeve is like, no.
Also, I love how Elaine is at her usual Elaine and Nynaeve antics of, I can keep a secret. Guess what Nynaeve just did, everyone?
I keep the best secrets. Afterwards, like it's some Aes Sedai hugging Suyan, and they're like, she's like, I have my friends back, and I don't blame them for being terrible to me.
I would blame them.
Right. And
hold a grudge, girl.
She goes, yeah, hold a grudge. It's okay. Like, at least give yourself a week. She sees Gareth Bryn and goes over to him, and she's like, well, now I'm healed. Now the promise is broken. And he's like, that's not how that works. And then she tries to like hold him with air to scare him, but she cannot budge him. She realizes she's much weaker than she used to be. She begins crying.
Eve thought it was different.
And she begins crying, and suddenly he's very concerned and attentive because they are in Lerv. She asks him to leave, and he does. She realizes the pain she is feeling is because suddenly she's remembering the death of her warder, because she didn't care about him before, but now that there's a bond that makes it magical, it actually counts.
Yep. Convenient.
Leanne finds her, and she's like, oh, I remember when my warder died, I would never have another one, but maybe I will.
I'm so good at flirting. I can probably get another.
There is a TikTok that's one of my favorites. A comedian in Chicago who I've seen at like improv groups, and it's him and his friend. They're pretending to be at a wedding, but it's just the back alley in Chicago. And at one point, she goes, "Are we allowed to take the host?" And he's like a very flamboyant gay man, and he goes, "Well, I'm not allowed, but I will." It's the funniest thing I've ever heard. And my roommate and I were saying it to each other for like 15 minutes last night. Well, I'm not allowed, but I will.
Please send that to me.
I will. He also has a very funny one where it's like Paul Revere as a gay man saying the British are coming, and he's like, oh no, that's my ex. He also has one where he's driving around a go-kart canceling people, and he goes, oh no, that's my name. Well, I'll just check that one off. It's very funny. I'll send you his TikToks. But anyway, that's what Leanne reminded me of. I can't take on another warder, but I will.
Pretty much.
Elaine is getting ready for bed when Nynaeve comes in after being badgered all day. Suyan and Leanne come in and say that they are Aes Sedai again, and Leanne may change her Aja. They're like, can you do that? And she's like, but I will.
Like, I'll do what I want.
Yeah. And they're like, we really want you to try to heal us again. And Suyan explains that the Aes Sedai have a hierarchy with how powerful they are. And Nynaeve is too tired to do anything. Suyan tells the girls about last night's meeting with the Wise Ones. The White Tower Embassy is in Kyrene meeting with Rand. Igraine was not there, but she will be at the next meeting. Elaine is sure that Suyan is still hiding something. The next morning, Suyan and Leanne are back to wake Nynaeve. She tries to heal them again, but it has no effect. So they are now much less powerful because we must make women less powerful. But Logain can be healed completely.
Healed completely.
Because it's a matriarchy, but it's still through the lens of a patriarchal man.
Women have more power and are more respected and are in charge, right?
No.
Oh.
No.
Oh. Oops, got that wrong. Oh.
I am Iron Man.
Iron Man, a feminist text.
The next morning, Suyan tries to coordinate with a friend, Delana, about getting her to go see the Wise Ones. She agrees and Suyan leaves. Then a woman comes in, Halima Saranov, and she gives a Black Aja symbol. She says she traveled with another Black Aja, Cabriana Nascendis. And she learned of Saladar and the White Tower's plans for Saladar and the Dragon Reborn. Cabriana and her warder both died. Halima says that she will be Delana's secretary. And Delana's like, I don't want you around me because, like, yeah, I know I'm Black Aja, but, like, no, thank you. But when she tries to argue with her, Halima says she is also known as Arengar from the beginning of the novel, if you remember, people.
A name with an apostrophe in it, again.
And Delana is like, oh my God, I've heard that name in my dreams and now I'm afraid. We got over to the White Cloaks and Eamon Valda, who is mad at Niall because he recalled him from going to Amador rather than going to Tyr to confront Rand. And he thinks Niall has gotten soft. He's greeted by Dane Bornhold, who is now just a drunk man as a personality. He's just drunk all the time, guys. He's just drunk. And blaming Perrin for things that weren't Perrin's fault.
Yeah. I stubbed my toe. Perrin!
Curse you, Dickelberg!
And this is where I'd put a trophy if I had one.
This is where I'd put Baron Ibarra's head on a stake
if I
had it. Dane confirms that Morghese is in the Fortress of Light. Valda thinks he would have had her signature on a treaty already. He thinks Jeff from Bornhold was too soft as well. He has so many opinions.
He thinks everyone's too soft, though, because he keeps saying that he's like, we need to remove Niall as the Lord Captain because he's too soft.
Except for the questioner, where he's like, I'm kind of afraid of everyone's afraid of the questioners. It's like, you know that these men are mad, like sadistic assholes. So a questioner passes a message for him to visit the Dome of Truth, the headquarters of the questioners. And the Dome of Truth, he finds Radam Asunawa, who's examining a portrait of an Amaryl and see who they like hung her body 693 years ago, even though she was already dead. Again,
it doesn't make sense.
Are sadistic assholes. Asunawa tells him that times are troubled and that they must not allow Niall to destroy the children of the light. Valda says he is prepared to listen. Patron Niall is watching Valda with Dane. Valda only thinks of attacking and not the actual game. He's trying to set things up, but he has a feeling similar to one that helped him before, so he's going to trust it. Morghese is getting ready to flee with Talonvor and like all the others, but she's like now just like, I think I'm in love with Talonvor. And it's like, why? He's just a young guy near
set her
you.
Up as the person that just falls in love with everyone. I don't like that as a
in love with the youngest boy in the room, where it's just like, baby, he's meant for your daughter and Tom's meant for you because those seem more age appropriate.
Hannah, Tom will end up with Moraine.
Oh, well, I know that. We all know that.
Old people forever.
Old people forever. But anyway, a questioner comes in and he takes her down to the gallows where she sees the men who are supposed to help her escape, and they're all hung as dark friends. She pretends like she doesn't know them, and she's like, I understand they were dark friends. When inside she's like, my brain's short-circuiting. They then go up to Niall's office where she signs the treaty to take down Rand, meaning foreign armies for the first time will be going into her kingdom with her permission. Niall tells her he will not be able to move on Andor as soon as he thought. So really, he just like pulled a fast one on her.
Right.
And then she's like, all right, well, why don't we play stones so I can pretend like I'm stupider than you're making me out to be? I understand that it's more stupid. I always say stupider. I don't know why it's the one thing I cannot unlearn. I don't know why.
I don't know.
It's just something, it sounds right in my head.
Stupid.
It's like I don't know how to actually conjugate the verb to drink correctly. One of our friends points this out to me constantly because she's like, Hannah, that's not how you use that. And I'm like, I don't know.
How do you say sneaked or snuck?
I snuck into the room.
So apparently that it's actually sneaked is the correct way to say it. I learned this from Conan O'Brien, of all people. But he had Jennifer Garner on his show a long time ago, and she said Conan snuck is not the right form of the word. And he looked it up in dictionary, and snuck became a correct way to say it because so many people just said it as slang. And so I always say snuck too, but sneaked is apparently more correct.
I low-key really like Jennifer Garner. Not to bring this back to
I love her.
Not to bring this back to TikTok, but she recently had one where she was trying to make sunflower seeds and she picked them way too early. So they were like the tiniest little seeds. And she was like, I just made really, really intense chicken feed. Like, she had like roasted them. And then it just shows her like, here, chickens, enjoy.
She's adorable in her little boots and her overalls and everything that she wears on her farm.
Oh, yes, very much so.
Sorry to
anyway, I won't have any more tangents, but I will.
So basically the plan is all like a show,
right?
Followed by Hanging the Queen.
And so Asunawa, who was the questioner, he asks someone if Morgaze was connected to the Dark Friends. He says they didn't think to ask. And Asunawa has an elaborate trial planned for her before he hangs her. Because, you know, these men always want to be hanging women. He hopes she continues to resist Niall so he can extract a confession. Questioners are sadistic assholes, people. Egwene has a close call with the White Tower Aes Sedai, and the whole city is acting crazy with Rand around, and people are just doing so many crazy things. Berylene went into hiding, and the Wise Ones are furious. Newsflash, you never find out why in this book. You don't find out why Berylene went into hiding. She just did until Perrin gets there. Spoiler.
Convenient.
3 Shido Wise Ones arrive and they claim entry on the Wise Ones' tents, but because Savannah, who's the main Shido, like, it's a Wise One now. And she watches Egwene a lot. There's conflict all around. Egwene is making out with Gawain and sitting on his lap. Did you guys know that sitting on a lap is to tell a boy you really, really like them? I guess I know why I'm single now. I just
didn't know that,
but this book lets you know, right? You learn something new, Laura.
I haven't learned anything about improving relationships from these books, but I guess there's still a chance. We're not halfway through.
Maybe I'll just try to put some of these girls' moves to the test, and we'll see if I can find me a man.
I'm gonna recommend you don't.
Egwene goes out to the river to try to talk to the sea folk, and like brutally fails and then just gives up. I don't understand why that was a plot point. The 5th night after Rand leaves, Bear accompanies Egwene to Tell Anriad as a test. The next night, Amis does the same. On the 7th night, Egwene prepares for the meeting of the Saladar Aes Sedai. She wishes she could talk to Nynaeve and Elaine beforehand because she's really worried. She's like, I've been pretending to be an Aes Sedai for like a minute and they could really, really punish me. But she keeps dreaming of like breaking objects. So she's sure that like things will go badly if Nynaeve and Elaine, like she talks to them. She goes to sleep. Egwene meets with the Aes Sedai that night and Tara Anriad and Amis and Bear. She is shocked when Suyan is revealed. The Aes Sedai summon Egwene as fast as possible using a phrase that she like is pretty sure means she's going to be punished for pretending to be an Aes Sedai. They ask if she can use Tela Anriad to get there, and she agrees against the Wise One's wishes because they say entering into Tela Anriad, I don't know why I can't say that today, it's evil.
Such an easy word.
They say entering in your physical body is evil. Suyan shows her where Saladar is on a giant map. It is revealed once they leave that Rand was watching them. He has come to the Tyr dream world to see Kalendor often, and he knows now where Elaine is.
Find Elaine.
Egwene packs, and then she admits to the Wise Ones that she has toe against them because she's been lying and she's only accepted, and she asks them to beat her to meet her toe. Audible sigh. Matt is gambling with Oliver with like a really easy thing. Rand arrives with the Aiel and Avienda. The Band of the Red Hand is only a few days from entering Tyr and joining Weirman. But Rand's like, yeah, you know about that battle I asked you to do? Like, I don't want you anymore. You need to go bring Elaine to Camelin. Avienda will accompany you. Avienda indignantly says, it was my idea to do this. She needs to speak with Elaine. Rand will open a gateway to a clearing a couple days from Saladar. The whole Band of the Red Hand is to go. Rand gives Matt a map. Rand tells Matt that there are Aes Sedai there who are rebels against Elida. Matt worries that the band will draw Samael's attention north. Rand says it will just be an escort for a queen, so he will not notice. Matt says that he can be ready to go in 2 hours. Rand tells Matt about the 2 Rivers girls coming to Camelin. He also warns Matt that Egwene may be in Saladar before him, and he should probably bring her back. Matt promises to stay with Elaine until he sees her safely back in Camelin. Rand gives Matt a letter to Tom Marilyn, the Moraine letter. Oh, God. And then Avienda stays. Matt tells Oliver, who's eavesdropping outside, to fetch his men. He studies the map until they leave, then tells them that they're leaving immediately. For those who don't know, Oliver is spelled like Olver, which is why I keep saying Oliver, but the way I want to say Oliver because it sounds Oliver. Better. But like that's not the way it should be pronounced based on its spelling, but it's
Oliver like the musical.
Food, glorious food, hot sausage and mustard. Well,
why are we such nerds?
Cold jelly and custard.
I'm embarrassed for us.
My sister was in the 8th grade production of Oliver.
Actually, it's a really cool musical. I like it.
It's a very good musical. More.
Anyway, Wheel of Time.
Anyway, Wheel of Time. Guys, it's pretty late. Hannah's really tired. She started a new job today. So we go back to Egwene and she'd just been whipped a ton and she's like, my bottom's going to be sore for weeks because butt stuff.
Spanking.
And she like asks for more because she doesn't think her toe is done. And they're like, nah, it's done, even though it's up to the person to choose if their toe is done. So it's very amorphous rules that don't matter. It's whose line is it anyway? The rules are made up and the points don't matter. So
basically.
Egwene says goodbye, thinking that the Aes Sedai will kick her out. And they're like, well, if they do, you can just come back and be a wise one because we like you. And she's like, at least I have a backup plan. Bear agrees to keep teaching her about Tela Anriad, but Amis will not. Egwene travels to Saladar through the dream world on a fake Bella. She meets with a woman. I have to prepare myself for this because I have feelings. She meets with the Aes Sedai thinking they're going to punish her when they reveal in the most rushed plotline of all time that we have been waiting for 6 books, like for 4 books, because number 2 where we learn about this. Like we were so excited for this. There's no reason. They just make her the Amarillan seat, guys. They just say,
Hannah, there was more build
happen.
Up for you just talking about that than there was in the chapter.
There was no.
This was a short chapter, and when it happened, I was like, "Wait, what? This is Mayor Amarillan seat? What?"
My favorite character, who deserved all of the good plot lines.
I wanted her to be the Amarillan seat. I thought that was a cool thing, but this doesn't make any flipping sense.
Now she's just a political pawn. Like that's the only thing that's happening in this moment. They just want this week, and they don't have a reason for making it Egwene. Like it's not like someone had a foretelling. It's just like we thought you were good enough. Like,
it doesn't make any sense. And honestly, with that reasoning, why wouldn't they have just made Elaine?
Why wouldn't it have just been Elaine? Well, because she has to rule Camelin. So that is fair enough.
I guess. I don't know.
It's like, I guess they looked at Egwene, Nynaeve, and Elaine, and they were like, well, these are the 3 most powerful girls. And it can't be Nynaeve because she has a block and she's a hothead and she hates us. And it can't be Elaine because she already has a country to run. So I guess Egwene, like, there's no reason.
By default, it's her. Like, it's bad.
It's really bad, guys. I don't like this spotlight. Next time, she's like, hey, I'm not an Aes Sedai, and I just pretended to be. And they're like, yeah, but like constitutionally, like it doesn't say you have to be Aes Sedai to be Amarillan seat. So for all my con law fans out there, They are textualists, which means that they are not the good people on the Supreme Court. They take her to the little tower and they all vote for her, even though a few are hesitant. She has to like wash their feet to convince them. And like two of them were like really reticent to do it, like Ramonda and Lilane.
Right.
And then they leave and she's like, what happens if they didn't stand up? And they're like, oh, we would have been exiled. We didn't tell you any of these things, but like there was a serious comeuppance that would have happened if we did this to you with no like thought and you just like failed to do what we asked you to do. And they're also like, it's actually customary for the Amerlin to spend her first night in contemplation and prayer. But instead, we're not going to do any of that. We're just going to update you on what's going on here because you haven't been here. You don't know what's going on. There's no reason for you to be Amerlin's seat. We did not like this book. She meets her new maid and she loves her and she gets advice on who and like, but she doesn't trust all the advice she's getting. She's announced as the Amerlin seat and she names Shiriam as her keeper much to the chagrin of everyone else. She absolves all novices and accepted of their penances and like has a party all day. And this is tradition. And then to the shock of everyone, she rises up Theodrin, Phaelane, Nynaeve, and Elaine to full Aes Sedai without further ado.
Which everybody's like, I object. I can't stand that you did that. You don't know what it means to be Amerlin's seat. And it's like, really?
Okay. Again, she is competent enough to say, like, yeah, if I was the only one who was like raised to Aes Sedai during this time, it would be really easy to dismiss me. But by doing it with 4 other people, it's much more palatable. And they're like, well, you might have a point, but you should have run it by us because we don't believe you're our leader. We just want you to be our puppet. Afterwards, Shiriam leads her to her study. They follow close behind. Queen just dismisses them, and Elaine and Nynaeve enter. They're gleeful about their reunion, and Nynaeve demonstrates healing, but Queen like can barely sense it because it's too complicated.
Right.
Elaine demonstrates her skill for Terra and Griol, and despite her strength in fire and earth, Queen cannot follow it at all. They tell her that Min is also with the embassy for Rand. She tells them that Rand wants to give the line. Oh, because she found out that like there's an embassy going, and she's like, "That's a good thing," but nothing else they're doing is smart. And then she tells Elaine that Rand wants to get her on the Lion Throne, but she says it in like, he wants to give you the Lion Throne. And Elaine is like, it's not his to give. And it's like,
I hate
okay,
how
it
she is
like,
about this.
It sounded like it was just poor wording choice on a Queen's part. Actually, what
You're
Rand
getting
is saying.
upset over nothing. Stop.
Yeah. But then they're like, hey, we want to go find the Weather Terangriel and AWWR, and they're not letting us. And she's like, well, now you're Aes Sedai, so now you can do it. It is clear to Egwene, I guess this is the reasoning, that the Celadar Aes Sedai chose her because of her connection to Rand. Also, not a good enough reason. And they think they can use her as a puppet. She remembers Maureen's lecture on the Game of Houses and thinks that she'll have to use every bit of it. She tells them that their trip to AWWR won't be too long because she knows how to make get them to travel through the dream world. And then in the next chapter, they're both like, we have something else to tell you. We captured Mogadine and we've been holding her prisoner. Oopsies.
We're so good at secrets.
And Egwene, who has been horrified by the Adams the entire time, is like, I guess I'll just use it against her. It's just the biggest like plot. Like,
so
Egwene would not be okay about this.
Thought before would never happen or happening.
Right. And she also like kind of knows about Brigitte, but like she can't admit it to them because they don't want her to know. And she's like, I don't want to be rude about their secrets. So then they bring in Mogadine or they're going to get Mogadine. And then Egwene tells them about their plans. There are less than 1,000 Aes Sedai, and there are probably more channeling wise ones. And she intends to unite them as well with the sea folk, but like let them have their own lives because she respects culture.
Right.
And she doesn't think they should just colonize all the channelers. Nynaeve returns with Merrigan. They explain about disguises and inversion. Nynaeve gives Egwene the Adam bracelet to keep. Egwene tests Mogadine and asks her about traveling. She tells the truth, confirming what Rand told her about like they can't just drill a hole through reality like Rand does. And she can teach Egwene the right way. Egwene then weaves spirit and opens a gateway to the IO waste, demonstrating that she already figured it out, even though she had to travel through Tel Anriad. So it's like, how did she figure it out that quickly? Why did this not happen before? I don't know. Nynaeve carelessly mentions AWWR in front of Mogadine, and Egwene feels shock from Mogadine. Egwene tells Suyan that she means to have her help in being successful. She will take advice from Suyan, but that is all. Suyan grudgingly admires Egwene's strength, and it's like she probably will be
not
good.
Gonna be a puppet. Oh.
And then she gives her a lot of good advice in the Solidar Aes Sedai. This is depressing. We cut to a lot of Aes Sedai's like thought processes where it's like, I only voted for her because I was afraid the other girl would get it.
Yeah.
I only voted for her because I thought the other girl would get it. And then we would go over to Delana the Black Asha, and she's with Halima, and Halima insists that she support every side. And Delana boxing, she will be caught, and Halima tells her to support severing or even killing Logain. People are fighting over whether they should stay at Solidar or try to go to the tower to like fight it out. Elaine tells Shiriam that Egwene is worried about like the Aes Sedai people, and they both insist on staying in Solidar, and they might try to control Egwene. So like Elaine just knows what's going on. She gets what everyone's fighting about, and she gets the thing because that's Elaine's personality. Egwene relaxes in her bath as her maid Chessa scrubs her back. She recalls Ruark saying that when battles begin, a battle leader no longer has control. So Egwene is actually competent. Matt is traveling to Solidar. During this time, Oliver tried to kill Aviendha for being Aiel because they murdered his dad. And Aviendha is uneasy about the kid not being able to understand that, like, hey, just because they were Aiel doesn't mean they were our Aiel. They were Shido. And, you know, and Matt thinks she's going to kill Elaine over loving Rand. And he repeats it so many times. Like, she's going to kill Elaine. She's going to kill Elaine. How am I going to stop her from killing Elaine? I can't stop her from killing Elaine. They hit Solidar, and Matt rides in with Aviendha and 3 others. There are no flies there. Robert Jordan really likes to point out, like, magic means you don't have BO or any kind of disgusting.
I was gonna say, it makes you beautiful. You don't stink. I guess
a caste. It's like this is a caste system. Like, it's just the powerful get rewarded.
I suppose.
Matt sees Brigitte, and he's like, she looks familiar because he has all the memories of the world, and she looks like Brigitte. He is led to the little tower to talk to Egwene, Elaine, and Nynaeve. One of the girls reads him as tough Aaron, and they're like, you found your first power. Some of these scenes make me giggle. People start asking Aviendha about her ability to channel. And she's like, yeah, I can channel. So what?
Well, they like swarm her.
I know.
It's
they're
weird.
Like, and she's like, could you back off? Nynaeve grabs Matt. She's like, what are you doing here? And takes him to Egwene, who's wearing the Amarylline stole. And Matt's like, you silly goose. You're not at the Amarylline seat. Like, the way he talks to her is so derogatory. And like, I know you think you might be the Amarylline seat, but that's just in your pretty little head.
And before Nynaeve can box his ears, a novice arrives and is like, don't you dare speak to the Amarylline that way.
And he's like, blood and bloody ashes. You're the Amarylline seat.
Light.
Also, he like, Egwene tries to channel against him, but the Foxhead medallion goes cold, and she's puzzled, and Elaine and Nynaeve are shocked. Nynaeve also kicks Matt over the way he's acting, and he threatens Nynaeve to the point where she is scared of him for the rest of the book. And it's just like, what is happening?
Nynaeve has really been beat down a lot.
But I know, but Matt is also like, guys, don't worry, Egwene, you're not really the Amarylline seat. I'll take you guys all back to Rand.
We can undo this.
Fun.
There's still time.
We can pretend it never happened, guys. We'll go back to Camelin. It's
I'm not
okay.
really here. We're not really here.
And Egwene's like, yeah, none of that's gonna happen. The girls are going to Abu Dar, and if you promise to like be with Nynaeve, then you can like, or if, to like follow Elaine, then you can follow her to Abu Dar. I don't care. And Shiriam comes in, and like, they just kind of, Matt pretty much decides that he's going to have to go with them, and he hates it because stupid Varen. And he like leaves the room, and they're all shocked by the fact that like Egwene couldn't channel on him. The flows just melted away around him. Right. So Shiriam comes in, and like Elaine goes to find Aviendha to talk about Rand, and Nynaeve goes to talk about like lost talents that have been like, maybe they can find more. Things like aligning the matrix to make metal stronger, and like, but Mogadine is still pretty useless as a person. So I just don't know. Suyan did treat them how to not feel heat or sweat, so they knew Mogadine lied about it. Because again, this is a caste system where you get better treatment because you have power. And Egwene tells Shiriam that Rand sent Matt's army to bring them all to Camelin and swear oaths of fealty, and Shiriam is worried that like they will use that to other Aes Sedai will use that to undermine her, to try to like stick their heels in the ground. Agreeing pretty much is like, I bet I could use the bend of the red hand to my advantage. So we cut over to Matt. He gives Tom the letter, and Matt's like, who's it from? And Tom is like, I once loved a woman who said her husband beat her. When I told her I would run away with her, she beat me up. It's like, why was the story told? I don't understand. How is that an answer to who wrote that letter? And then he's like, I think, and Tom's like, I think Egwene will be a good Amaryllis Sea. And he asked Matt to join them in AbbleTV. Nynaeve runs from Matt because, again, he threatened her so hard after she kicked him that she's now afraid of him.
It was really an overreaction.
It was such an overreaction where it's like,
and all of that is
stood
just weird.
up to me. I can't handle this. So
to the point where literally it seems like he enters the room. She's like, I'm out of here.
Yep. Elaine goes to talk to Avenger, but she runs into Bridget, who tells her that 2 other Aes Sedai are coming to AbbleTV. And this shows her that like no one believes that Elaine and Nynaeve are true Aes Sedai. And she and Nynaeve overreact to this to the nth degree, where they're like, we were raised, we have every right to be here as everyone else. And it's like, you do understand that this is the first time it ever happened. And these women obviously really believe in structure. So like, yeah, they're going to treat you differently. Just act like a nightmare to them. Like you're requesting respect, and like, no, just demand it. Like it was annoying me how many times they would be like, I can't believe they don't think we're true Aes Sedai. And it's like, really, Elaine, you're very competent as a person. Why do you not understand why they don't think this? Everything about your character is you understanding how people work. Why are you why is this the time you're so dumb? Well, that and loving Rand, but
being annoying.
Oh, well, I don't know.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. She goes and she talks to Avienda, who's like, I have Joe against you because I slept with Rand. And she's like, you slept with him? And like, Avienda holds out a knife or a stick to like let Elaine pick what her punishment should be. So it's like, do you want to stab me?
I didn't know how to feel about that. It's like, wait, she wanted to kill her? Like, what is this?
And then Elaine is like, it's okay. You're just the next woman who we're all supposed to love. Like, we're all supposed to love Rand. And Avienne's is like, well, you and I can become first sister wives and we could go hunt down and murder men. And Elaine is like, no, we're all
that's not what we want to do.
And then she's like, Min should be arriving in Camelin about now. And Elaine is relieved that the third person is not Barrelane, because no woman who actually like lives in their world likes Barrelane besides
except
the
wise
Aes Sedai.
ones.
Yeah, except for the wise ones. Sorry, not the Aes Sedai. After taking some time, they end up laughing together. And then Min arrives in fucking Camelin, and she becomes the most annoying person ever. She is back in pants though. Rand is in the Great Hall with several nobles. Min also views Rand when she first sees him, and she sees countless thousands of sparkling lights, like her love for him. Like stars or fireflies rushed into a great blackness, trying to fill it up, rushed in, and were swallowed. There seemed to be more lights than she'd ever seen before, but the darkness swallowed them at a greater rate too. And then there was something else, something new, an aura of yellow and brown and purple that made her stomach clench. Rand is so excited to see Min because she's such a good friend to him, and she's just like the only woman who's ever nice to him.
The only one who's ever understood him is Min.
Min gives Rand Elaine's letter, and like the letter is like, I really meant what I said in my letter. And he was like, which one? Like, you gave me 2 and they contradicted each other. So do you love me or do you want me dead?
If you were Elaine's friend, would you be like, let me deliver messages for you? Or would you be like, do it yourself because this is ruining things? Your methods are not great.
Well, and then Rand is like, I don't know how I feel about Elaine or Avienda. And Min is like really ticked about him talking about other women. She's like, you shouldn't talk about other women to a woman. And he's like, I thought we were friends. And then she just sits in his lap. Because again, how do you get a man? You sit in his lap. She then tells him about the embassy who is like with them. And she's like trying to give him tips. And he's like so uncomfortable with her sitting on his lap. And she's like, I've had sex before, so I'm totally fine with this. Min tells Rand about her viewings in the throne room, and she says, Aes Sedai are going to hurt you, women who can channel anyway. It's all confused. I'm not sure about the Aes Sedai part, but it might happen more than once. I think it's why it's so scrambled. When she's telling him about the embassy, she says that there are 9 Aes Sedai there. Lews Theron freaks out about this because he cannot control 9 Aes Sedai. Rand's like, I will only meet them 3 at a time. Sulin, his, maiden / servant for a while because of her toe. brings in a tray of refreshments and drops it when she sees Min in Rand's lap. Rand is like, this is my friend Min.
We're
She's
just
close.
friends, just hanging.
Sulan stalks out in a fury, and then everyone comes in, and one of his maidens come in, and Min is like, you're pregnant, and she's like, oh my god, and she's like, you're gonna have twin daughters, and she's like, I'll name one after you. I don't know why. Rand invites Min to the farm. She says no because she doesn't want to see a bunch of men channeling. She heads back to report. She gives their report, and they're like, okay, so she's obviously in love with Rand, so we can't trust her anymore.
Right.
And Alana and Varen are there. Rand can tell that Alana is not at the old place, so she must be with the other Aes Sedai. He goes to the farm. He's like shocked by how much these men are learning and how many there are. Taim tells Rand that they need hard discipline. And he says that, and Lucerin is like, I should have killed him long ago. Kill him, kill him, kill him. Taim says he reaches the men. He taught them how to heal so that they can protect themselves. And the men started calling the farm the Black Tower because you have the White Tower, the Little Tower, now the Black Tower.
It's almost as if it were two towers.
Well, now it's like 2.5 because there's a little tower.
There's the little one.
Just a little guy. It's the baby tower. Rand is unhappy with the name, but he agrees to let it stand so that they can have like something to form around. They're going to call it something, so it might as well be that.
Also, Black Tower, Rand. Let's call it Murder Mystery Party. Let's call it.
Laura wants to be invited. Are you the murderer? Are you the murderer? Are you the murderer? Are you the murderer?
Dark friend.
Dark friend. Dark friend. Dark friend.
Always call dark friend.
Rand gathers up all the men, and he says that he gave them a name called the Ashaman. The word Ashaman means guardian or defender of a just cause in the Old Tongue. Bashir gave him the word. He tells them that the first level will be soldier, the second level will be dedicated, and the highest level will be Ashman. He presents Taim the sword pin of the dedicated and the dragon pin of the Ashman. Taim looks furious, and Rand is like, I just gave you some shit. Why aren't you happy? So Rand asks Taim why he got mad about the pins, and like he just winds up shouting, and Taim shakes with rage and gets control of himself and changes the subject to the Aes Sedai and Camelin. Rand warns him again to stay away because he doesn't want Taim to do anything stupid. And Taim's like, I haven't been there since the day the gray man was there. And Taim tells Rand that there are parties of Red Aja sisters nearby trying to intercept men on their way to the Black Tower. Theron shouts that he must kill him. Rand mutters back, you're dead. And Taim now looks concerned, and he's like, hey, keep a hold of your sanity. You got to keep it together, bro. Taim suggests a convenient quote unquote accident for the Aes Sedai and Camelin, and Rand is like, I've told you so many times to stay away and leave those women alone. Right. I don't know what else to say. And Taim is like, fine, I'll do it. And then Rand is like, if anyone dies through channeling, I'm going to blame you. And he's like, what if it's Samael or Demandred? And Rand is like, you just better hope it isn't. It sounds like it's too bad for you. The Little Tower embassy knows that Min is in love with Rand. They can't trust her. And they're like, Min definitely ran back to Rand immediately. They're all talking. They're talking about like meeting with Rand, how it went cordial, but he warned them to stay away from the Black Tower, and he like imposed rules on them similar to the other embassy. And Alana and Varen have now firmly sided with Solidar. The 5 Aes Sedai sisters go upstairs after Marana orders tea. Varen's kind of taking control of the situation but like she and I believe Marana are supposed to be equal strength, and we're both novices 5 years and accepted for 6. Again, this is like a caste system. And so Marana is like, I should be in charge. And Varen's like, yeah, but I'm going to be in charge. They also don't believe that Rand can detect a woman channeling. And they know about the embassy in Kyrene, but they're like, he has to side with us because he has to. And they're also very disappointed in Alana for like bonding Rand without permission because she full on was inappropriate with him. Matt is over staying in a stables, dancing with women, and he dances with Halima, the stupid secretary dark friend. He leaves and he feels his medallion go cold, and she is shocked because every woman is shocked when they can't like force this man to do something. He finds out that she is Delana's secretary. He winds up standing next to Morel, who offers to bond him as her warder. And he's
like a million people that are like, be my warder.
I know. And he walks up to a pretty young woman and is like, I'm gonna ask her to dance, and then
Ask her to dance with it.
and then and then it's Soo-yeon's voice, and he's like, ah. Like, and then Liani comes up and she's like, I'm Liani, I'm gonna dance and kiss you. He's told by Egwene he's going to AppleTV, tells the men he leaves behind to follow Saladar Aes Sedai wherever they go, which is exactly what Egwene wanted. Tom and Julian arrive. Tom apologizes for avoiding Matt. He was ordered to. Elaine orders, like, Matt comments on the letter. Tom says a woman might be a friend, an enemy, or a lover, and you don't know until it's too late. So, like, Moiraine was in love with him after one conversation, guys.
A friend, an enemy, or a lover, you don't know until it's too late. Oh.
And then they make a gateway, and it's 5 to 6 days from AppleTV because they want to avoid people. After the gateway closes, Egwene hopes that Elaine and Nynaeve can keep Matt out of trouble. She needs to get him away from the Band of the Red Hand. She tells the people in the circle that it's time to get on with it. They need to move towards the tower. They're going to leave immediately and join Lord Bryn on his, Okay, and so this is my favorite part because, like, at the beginning of the novel, Perrin comes in. And then, like, again, I did not watch SpongeBob at all, but there are certain SpongeBob things that, like, stick in my mind where it's just like, you see Perrin in the prologue, that it's like 800 days later.
8 years later.
Yes. And then it's like, Perrin's back and he's riding with Fufu with him because he can't get rid of her. He just can't quit her.
I wish we could get rid of her.
And they are escorted to Rand, and Rand is elated, and he congratulates them on their wedding. And I actually really like when Rand and Perrin are together. They just like each other.
They're good friends.
It's not like Matt being like, God, Rand, why am I doing this for you?
Quit forcing me to be here, man.
At first, Freya is jealous of Min, but then she realizes she likes Rand, and her jealousy.
She's like, I don't like you around Perrin. Oh, wait, you like Rand? Okay, never mind.
I don't like any woman touching my husband or talking to him.
Do
or
not even
him.
Look at Perrin. Oh, wait a minute. You like Rand. That's fine.
But they still don't like each other. And this is why I said last week, Fufu is definitely the woman who says, I just can't handle women because the drama. She's the drama. She is the drama. She's the problem. Yep. I called it. I knew it. I don't know why. And Perrin recalls, like, Fufu chasing women away with a stick if they wanted to be near him.
Which is
not the answer. It's not the answer. Trust your husband. He's done nothing but fucking adore you every single chance he gets. And all you can do is be like, no, a woman flirted with you and it's your fault. And it's just like,
Perrin,
no, it's
why?
not.
Perrin, why?
Perrin tells Rand that Loyal came with them, but he had to stop at a steading to rest because, again, he's in danger. He wagered Perrin that he would reach Camelin within 10 days after Perrin arrived. Min and Fufu leave to talk amongst themselves. Sulin brings punch. Rand asks Perrin to go to Tyr for him because he's like, I need one of you guys there. And Perrin's like, I've just been traveling for 2 months. No. And Rand is like, I could just do there in a day. And he's like, still no. Except he couldn't get Matt there. He had to, like, he was like, I could have you there in a day. And it's like, Matt, you need to travel across the distance. Right. I'm not going to help you. Whatever. Rand tells Perrin that Moiraine is dead. He tells Perrin about the split with the Aes Sedai, and the two sides are jockeying for a position with him. He tells Perrin there is a third faction of Aes Sedai ready to kneel to him, and he says he will not visit the Two Rivers camp because his presence puts them in danger. As Perrin leaves to get cleaned up and settled, Rand tells him to think about Tyr, and Perrin's like, yeah, I'll think about it, and then just nothing comes of it. As Perrin leaves, Rand calls upon a maiden to tell Sulin to prepare rooms for them. Perrin sees Bashir down the hall, and he's like, I guess I got to go meet him. And they sit down. My
father-in-law.
And Bashir's like, I don't approve. And he mentions a broken crown, and Perrin's like, what is that?
Crown.
And he's like, I don't know what that means. And then he's like, hey, your daughter wants to be called Fufu now. And she's a hunter of a horn. And Bashir challenges Perrin, threatening to kill him. And Perrin stands up to him. Bashir takes Perrin to his wife, Dira, and Fufu, and they're like fighting. And Perrin hears
they were fighting too. They're like at each other's throats.
Yeah. And like Dira tries to bully Perrin, and again he resists, and they're like, I guess we like you because you stood up to our bullying, like you stood up to our daughter's bullying, even though you don't stand up to our daughter's bullying.
They're like, you're not really strong enough to control her, but okay.
And he's like, well, I mean, I spanked her that one time.
Like, oh. Why?
I don't know. Rand is convinced he needs Perrin and Matt and Tyr. Min talk with Fufu until Bashir came in for her. She says, he's found his falcon. I wouldn't be surprised if she kills him when the hawk appears. Ew. Rand then asks her if she has anything concerning him. She says, when you two were together, I saw those fireflies in the darkness stronger than ever, but like you need to keep him with you. Like you could die if Perrin's not near you, and it needs to happen at least twice. Like where it will just something bad will happen if he's not there. And then he goes to talk to people, and Luz Theron is getting more persistent. There is a little tower Aes Sedai studying in Camelin from South, and she is attacked by a man with black eyes, but he looks like an Aiel, but Aiels don't have black eyes. So they all think Rand sent them, and they decide to punish him by ignoring him. I find this so funny because the miscommunication in it is Rand is like, I wonder why they haven't been around for a while. There's literally nothing. Like Rand doesn't think anything's going wrong. And he's like, they just haven't been around for a while. Perrin reveals that Fufu can understand Aiel talk, and she says like, Rand left, I can like see their hand talk. They have sign languages that like my women taught me. Matt travels to OWWR. Oliver does not like Brigitte because she hangs out with Avienda. He still thinks Brigitte is a hunter of the horn. And then like during this, Elaine asked Matt to let him study the Foxhead medallion in the most annoying way possible, where she's like, can I look at it pretty please, the cherry up? And he's like, no, I'm lying. And then she's like, fuck you, and like storms off. Like it was just
overreaction.
Like later he keeps feeling Aes Sedai trying to channel on him. They keep testing on him. They realize they can throw things at him, but they can't like actually channel on him. Nynaeve still is avoiding that. Oh, and then people find out that Brigitte is Elaine's warder. They're not happy about it. And they get to OWWR. Like Nynaeve and Elaine are kind of stuck while the other women are like talking to people and looking into things. And they like notice that people in OWWR have dark hair and black eyes. So maybe that was one of them. A servant comes in and brings them to the queen, Tylin. And she's like, I think you two are actually the important ones. I don't know what to say, but the other ones seem a little bit weak. And then you find out Nynaeve is 26 and Elaine is 18. Elaine apologizes for Gareth Bryn's army that's like traveling, and they said they're headed to Altara. This puts them in Tylen's good grace. They just kind of talk about like what they need and where they want to go, and like trying to find this Terra Angriel, because again, they can't really keep a secret. And she's like, well, what you're talking about is like the area of Rahad, which is like really, really dangerous. She also asked if like, why are there so many sea folk? And they're like, I don't know. And then they go back, and Nynaeve and Elaine are like, well, we have to go searching for it. And Elaine's like, don't worry, we'll find it in 10 days. And I'll be able to look at Matt's medallion because he can't resist me. Spoiler, he can resist her.
He can resist.
Rand's hanging out with Perrin. They see Loyal, who freaks out about being betrothed. He's like, I don't want to be forced back to a steading, but I did think she was pretty.
But it's the one you had a crush on.
I know, it's the one he had a crush on. Rand asks Loyal to help put guards at all the way gates. Perrin is furious he's using his friends. And it's like, Perrin, you do understand what a battle is, right?
Right.
Min runs in and she's like, Rand, like 7 Aes Sedai are coming. They're mad at you. I don't know why. And like Rand rushes to get ready. He knows like one of them is bedridden, but he doesn't know why. And he gets there right before they come in. They try to do like the Mirror of Mist tricks that Moraine did to make themselves bigger and saying like, you will respect us. And Luz Theron is very disdainful of them. And Rand channels and like breaks their illusion. And they're all shocked that he's super powerful, even though he's the dragon reborn. And he's like, you will leave. You will respect my rules or else you will get out of here. And so they leave in a huff. And they're like, and his wise ones were like, you handled that well. Min went, like, watched it all happen. And she like tries to figure out why they're mad. She can't. But now she realized some other women came in. And now that there are 13 Aes Sedai there, they could still Rand. So she runs and she tells Rand, and Luz Theron is terrified. He does the Kermit the Frog thing. Rand says he's leaving and he takes Min with him. He gets like everyone, Perrin. He's like, will you come? And Perrin's like, totally. Because one of the Aes Sedai could bond him too. Rand tells Min that he'd cut his arm before he'd hurt her. And Min reacts oddly. And everyone just kind of packs up. Fayo writes a letter to her mom telling her where they went. And Rand sends a message to Taim warning him about the 13 Aes Sedai. He sends a letter of warning to like all the different people he needs to. He also sends one to the Saladar Aes Sedai. They read the letter and it says like, you guys can come to Camelin where I'm going to be, but you can only bring, or not Camelin, Carrion, but you can only bring 6 because those are the rules of the White Tower have to live by. And they're like, do we actually respect his wishes? And they're like, no, we're just going to pick who goes. And they sent like a couple away with the 2 river girls to Saladar. And she's like, I hope they elected a strong Amarillan seat. Like, I mean, it's a queen. She's pretty strong, but still. Rand just spends the next couple days like hanging out. He reaches out to Gawain and he's like, you want to come hang out, bro? And he's like, I wonder why he didn't come. He chastises Berlain for hiding from what she should be doing. Min notes that she will marry a man in white. So Berlain's bearing a white cloak to everyone. That afternoon,
by chance?
I wonder. Probably because the only white cloak we know that like has any redeeming qualities so far. Unless it's
hopefully it's not Dane Bornhold.
If drunk man with a personality. That afternoon, Min orders like starts wearing more feminine clothes. I don't care. 2 days later, the Aes Sedai from the White Tower asked to come. Rand declines. He can feel that Alana is on her way. And he's like, I hope they keep their word. They do not. Rand and Min go to the school of Kyrian to visit like the teacher there. But they're all too distracted by Min and like her powers to be of any use. Min spends lots of time with the wise one. She also like reads noblemen for him. She just tells him how they're all going to die. Perrin is being, again, consent guys.
Hounded by Berlain.
Like she follows him everywhere. He hides from her at night. It's gross. And Fufu fucking blames Perrin at every turn. It's always his fault. She starts giving him the silent treatment when it's like, what is he doing that you like? And then he overhears her 2-eye eel saying, maybe we should beat Perrin because he deserves this for some reason. It's so stupid. It's terrible. And it's just like, also, Berlain, stop stalking a man. It's not okay. You shouldn't be acting like this. I like you a lot. Like, I don't mind Berlain as a character, besides how she treats Perrin. It's really gross
Her
and icky and uncomfortable.
Perrin is disgusting, but
it's disgusting.
Besides that, she's not too bad as a character.
Right. On the 10th day, Rand receives another request from the White Tower Aes Sedai. And Rand is like, I think they'll be in Kyrian pretty soon. So he's like, fine, you can come in with 3 people. And Lucerne mutters about killing Samael and Demandred. The Aes Sedai show up with like all these servant people with a giant chest of treasure, so you think. And then all of a sudden he realizes that they're all Aes Sedai.
Oh, wait, the servants were Aes Sedai? Crap.
Why didn't they check them? I don't understand.
Why would they even let extra people in?
I don't know. An Aes Sedai Galena like takes him and they put him in the chest and they convince everyone as they leave. Or it's like, well, he always makes gateways. He just kind of left. And they took him in with them as well. Perrin is suspicious, but he doesn't know what to do. And he wants his wife to love him. Like that's pretty much
and she's still ignoring him.
Rand realizes he's in a small cage. He's being shielded. And they're like, you're coming to the White Tower with us. We tried to get you to listen, but you wouldn't. Because we don't care about men. Matt's around OWWR trying to find out who the Daughter of Nine Moons. He almost does. Someone recognizes the name. And then they're like, I didn't hear you. And he's like, okay. And it's like, ask a follow-up question. They're searching for the girls, but Elaine and Nynaeve are changing their looks through the Mogadane thing and searching for the Angreal. They're having very little luck. Egwene is talking with Logain in his tent. 6 Aes Sedai are shielding him at all times. There are always 2 warders. And she's like, hey, what do you think about Rand's amnesty? And he's like, I wish I were there. I'd have freedom.
Right.
And he's like, I channeled sex successfully for 6 years. And she's like, okay. And then she leaves and they're moving north through Alltower for 16 days. Prince camp surrounds the Aes Sedai camp. And then the band of the Red Hand is about 10 miles away. They're ready to serve up part of her plan suggested by Sion and Liani. Egwene is playing for the presence of 2 armies to get local nobles to swear fealty to her. After Egwene retires for dinner, she sends Chesso away and goes to sleep. She meets up with Nynaeve and Elaine in the dream world in the Little Tower. Nynaeve has the original twisted ring. Elaine has one she made. They kind of just catch up. They tried to use Need again, but it doesn't work. It only works once, so they really can't find the dish. They're at wit's end. Egwene met with like the wise ones. They didn't know what the problem was. but they've never heard of anyone trying to use need twice. Egwene is also kind of keeping away the fact that she is the Amarillo seat now because she's not sure they'll believe her. She finds out Malene is pregnant and she's going to name the other baby after Egwene. So there's going to be a little Min and Egwene running around. Egwene finds out that, or Egwene tells Elaine that Randus and Kyrene, the Wise Ones, are angry over the Aes Sedai. And then they're like, they deserve a beating. They tell him about Perrin being married to Fufu, and they're like, he doesn't deserve her. And it's like, no, he deserves someone so much better.
He deserves someone amazing.
Elaine asks Egwene to pass a message to Min through the Wise One that she hopes Min will come to Avienda. I hate this book. Elaine leaves, then Nynaeve asks Egwene about Lan. Egwene knows nothing. You find out that Egwene has made an arrangement for Logain to escape so that he won't be gentle because there's too many people. We cut on over to Morel, who can feel Lan because she's the one who
has passed.
She got Lan's bond. She's really worried about him. She can tell he's really sick and she's not sure he can survive long enough to get to her. And she's trying to use a healer to kind of protect Lan as much as she can.
Right.
Perrin's really worried because I have not seen Rand in a while, and he's trying to talk to Fufu and she's ignoring him. And then Berylane comes in to say something important, and Perrin is like, "Get out of here, you awful, horrible woman." And again, I do understand that at this point, his wife is victim blaming him, and this woman has been stalking him. And it still feels like he could have used some nicer words.
I know.
He could have met her in the hallway and been like, I'm married. I do not want this. And I will start telling guards to keep you from me. I'll get a restraining order pretty much. But no, he just screams at her. And then Fufu is so effing pleased about it. And it's just oh my God.
What is this relationship?
And Berylaine's actually, Rand's
found Rand's sword.
And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. We actually have to talk about this. And then Sulan is like, my toe is done. We're going to go get him and bring him back. Charge. And Berylaine's like, I want to come. And Rourke is like, no, you have a country to run. And she's like, well, you have a point. And then all the Aes Sedai show up and they're like, hey, we want to help. And they're like, okay. And they go out and they meet the Two Rivers people. Perrin gets a new horse and he's like, maybe I'll have two horses. I'll have Stepper and Stayer. I'm like, okay. I don't understand. But anyway, they bring along a band of people to go get him. Then we cut over to Rand being tortured. One of my least favorite. This is my least favorite trope in fantasies. I hate torture. I'm not a fan of it. I understand that it happens. It's just not fun to read for me. I don't want to read about it. And you find out these women are extra torturing him because he killed two of Ariana's warders when he realized that they had men. And now Ariana's like, I get to punish you even more because of what you did. And he realizes he's kept in a box where there are all these flows and he keeps finding the edge of the flows. And he's trying to talk to Luke because, when again, Lews Theron went all Kermit the Frog when all the Aes Sedai showed up and ran away. But then he starts talking to Lews Theron. Lews Theron is like, I could get us out of this mess and help you untie it, but they have to knot the ties. They have to tie them off. And they're having actual flows of energy at the moment. So we can't do that. And Rand is like, okay, so I'm going to keep doing that. So he starts laughing. Galena plans to have the Shido kill Gawain and the younglings in a few days, if only. Arianne thinks Rand is crying because, again, they're torturing him. Galena offers her tea to console her over her remaining warders. I don't know. And they're about 2 weeks from Tarvalon. They keep beating Rand. It's awful. And then we cut over to Savannah, who plans to duplicate the Aes Sedai's weaves to hold Rand so that they can take him for hers. And this is because she has not the Adam, but one for men. And she's going to put a collar on him and force him to marry her. It's gross.
It's horrible.
And there's another box that she doesn't want to use because it could hurt Rand or something.
Yeah, it's a Terangriel box thing.
Yeah. And so on their way, Perrin's trying to catch up to the Aes Sedai. They're doing a really good job. He starts talking to all the different wolves to find out where the Aes Sedai are, but they're really bad at counting people, which is in a very tragic portion, very funny line where it's they don't know people, they're wolves. But Loyal says that he's worried that they're taking him to the White Tower for gentling. And Loyal's like, there has to be way more than 6 Aes Sedai up there. Like the wolves,
Mhm.
their numbers are wrong. Except he doesn't know what they're where parents getting this. Gawain wanted to kill Rand, but he really does not like the fact that he's being tortured. And it's like, I
Right.
guess good for like doing the bare minimum, Gawain. It's like,
Okay, cool.
Guys, I just had this sudden idea that like women might be people. Did you ever like really think about it? That women might have a personality of their own?
But they probably shouldn't torture him.
I mean, I get it, but like, I really hate that dude, but like, I guess they just shouldn't torture him. And one of his men are killed by an Aiel. And he goes up to the Aes Sedai and he's like, hey, I think people are coming. And they're like, we're surrounded by Shido. I bet I was one of them. And he's like, do you really think they kill one of my men? And they're like, well, you have a point. So then like the Two Rivers people come in and they're like battling the Aiel men. They're like trying to get to the Aes Sedai. They're very worried. They do have some Aes Sedai in their like shoulder, but they're pretty much ready to die. And the wolves come in. Loyal is deadly with his huge axe. And then Perrin hears a hollow boom. Then a gateway opens up and the Ashamen pour through. Perrin thinks he will never come home to Fufu. Rand is in the chest. Darn. He feels 3 points of the shield tied off. Following Lews Theron's instructions, he unknots them. He breaks them and crushes the remaining 3 points with spirit. He can only channel where he can see, so he blows up the box with air. There are 3 Aes Sedai by the box, 2 are unconscious, and 1 angular woman is screaming. Rand stilled them. Min is also near the chest, and she is okay. She wants him to make a gateway, but he does not know the area yet, so he can't do that. He begins knocking out and shielding the other Aes Sedai. He cannot find Galena, who is like one of his main torturers, and he, Gawain rides up and offers to take Min away, but she says she's staying with Rand. She tells Gawain that she's like, Gawain, Elaine loves Rand too. And Gawain's like, rally the younglings. He tells Rand that he will see him dead one day. Again, this man thinks Rand is so caught up over Gawain. And like Rand is like, hey, I wanted to hang out with you, but I guess not. As Gawain rides away, a full Ashman starts to attack him, but Rand knocks him down. Taim arrives and addresses the man as Gedwin. Taim says he went to visit Rand and Kyrene. He offers to heal Rand, but Rand refuses because he doesn't trust Taim. And Lews Theron is like, kill everyone. There are about 200 Ashman.
Trust no one.
No, he is the Laura of the murder mystery.
He's like, everyone is a dark friend.
There are about 200 Ashamen there. They have created a dome of air that secures the camp area. A dozen Ashamen are holding off a dozen Aes Sedai, including like the prisoners. Rand sees Alana and another group of 9 Aes Sedai and realizes that they were the ones who followed him from Camelin. And like Perrin and all the people are there, Ruark and most of the Aiel. But the like a ton of people are still outside the like protected area. And Perrin is like, you have to let it down. We have to go save people. And Rand is like, okay, we're going to open the dome, but then we're going to kill the Shido. And people are like, no, you don't understand. The way they kill people is horrifying.
Right.
And Rand is like, we don't have another choice. This is war. The Ashamen use earth and fire to slaughter thousands of Shido. And when I say slaughter, I mean, it's just like breaking people into nothing. The Shido finally break and run. The rest of the rescue forces, including Ruark, slowly join the others in the camp. There are 23 Tower Aes Sedai prisoners, Galena not among them. And then the 9 Aes Sedai come up to congratulate Rand. And Rand is furious, telling them he said only 6 could come. He will not place them on the same level as the other. He will now place them on the other side of the Aes Sedai. And he's like, you must kneel. And they're like, no, we kneel to no one. And then Taim is like, no, you're gonna effing kneel. And so then
you swear fealty now. Bend the knee.
They swear fealty to Rand, and like this was part of the prophecy. The unstained tower broken, bent knee to the forgotten sign. So then we go over to
the epilogue.
Yeah, the epilogue where it's like Phalion receives a note that like Elaine and Nynaeve are gone from the palace, and she was once a runaway novice, and she's under orders of Moghedien to find hidden Ankriel and Abu Dar. Then we go over to the guy who's studying in the school of Kyrene, and a golem enters and tears him limb from limb. And then one of the people find his body.
So a golem is like an assassin, right? Did I understand that correctly?
they kind of mention it. It's a creature in the other books. We haven't seen one yet. They're created during the War of Power. They look like ordinary people, but they are immensely strong and they have no bones. I'm like, it was mentioned in one of the last books where it's like Gollum are like one of the creatures that no one has seen in a long time.
Okay.
And they don't know really what they are. But, I guess it's in this book. Rand warns time of shadow spawn, including Gollum, but like no one's seen one in a very long time.
Okay.
And then like in chapter 23, Grendel thinks only a man like Agenor would have made a Gollum. So like they're just like a very dangerous creature. So the fact that they're now in play is pretty scary. We go over to the Xianchen, who there's a writer going into AppleTV and hopes that AppleTV will resist the return of the Xianchen. He thinks about Matt's comment he heard while playing dice in The Wandering Woman about the daughter of the Nine Moons. And he was like, perhaps the return would come soon and the daughter of the Nine Moons with it. Surely that would be a greatest omen of victory. Go over to Mogadine. She's in her tent. Halima enters and a light appears. She realizes that someone is using Sidene, the male form. And Halima identifies herself as Arengar, removes the Adam necklace and drops it in a bag. Arengar says, you will vanish as quickly and silently as Logain did. Mogadine is summoned to Shal Ghul. We go over to Egwene, who feels the necklace come off in a flash of pain when she's around people. And she's like, it felt like a man channeled that. So can't wait for that. Then we go over to Demandred. In the pit of doom, Demandred says, have I done well, great lord? The great lord laughs. Shaidar Haran is there. The creepy, whatchamacallit, dark friend. Or no, the creepy, what's it called? Fade. And then we get to the footer. The unstained tower breaks and bends the knee to the forgotten sign. The sea rages, the storm clouds gather unseen. Beyond the horizon, hidden fires swell. I like the echo. And serpents nestle in the bosom. What was exacted is cast down. What was cast down is raised up. Order burns to clear his path. And thus ends the Lord of Chaos's 6th book. The end.
Ugh.
We didn't like this book, guys.
No.
We've been talking for too long because the second half of this was so plot heavy. It's never been this plot heavy before. It was plot heavy. I'm kind of done talking about it. We'll get to the men and women of next week. Do you have any final points?
No, I don't. But
This
I have
book
a lot of
broke
thoughts
me.
on the characters and yeah.
Just fuck Gawain, everyone. I hate him so much.
Yeah, he's pretty bad in this.
One day I'll kill you. Bro, I didn't even know you really existed that much. I thought you were pretty
killed
cool.
My mom!
I guess you believe that, don't you? Huh?
Oh.
What am I going to do now? I guess nothing, because I never do anything besides talk about the 3 women I love a lot. I'm just going to do an entire episode like this. I'm Rand. Why don't you? This is
that would be interesting if we did an episode where we just we're like talking from Rand's point of view.
Where we just did an improv episode of Rand's POV.
Yeah.
I just realized this was pretty much just Lorelai Gilmore's Dean impression when it's like, Rory, I love you. Why don't you love me? That's my Rand. I don't understand. I just love these 3 women. This book was rough, guys.
It was. It's not a favorite out of the series so far.
There was so that last half of that book was so plot heavy and not a fun way. Like it was just it was too much. It wasn't good.
So many bad things happened.
So many bad things happened. And I really hate torture, guys. I just don't like it. Like I don't mind a battle scene, but torture in and of itself is just so.
It's bad.
Well, anyway, so come join us next week as we discuss the boys of Wheel of Time. Can't wait for a man to come up. Still haven't really seen one. I guess Lan. We didn't talk about Lan in this book, so we don't have him to fall back on. And we see him through the eyes of someone else. It's like he's not even there.
Right.
But come join us next week. If you enjoy this podcast, more than we enjoyed this book, you should please rate, review, and subscribe. Rating, reviewing, and subscribing is a great way to get us out to other people so that they can join in on the good and the bad of these conversations. You should also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter and Instagram at Our Pod. That's OWWR Pod. On both of those. You can also send us an email on if you liked this book and why at owwwrpod@gmail.com. We hope you join us next week, and we hope you have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Fuck this book.
Yeah, this is bad.